Alrighty. Cool. So we got a super fun one today. It's been a while, so it's good to see everyone. Feels like it's been forever, but it's good to see y'all. Um, so this is going to be a follow-up call. Follow-up. It's going to be a follow-up call. It's going to be a follow-up episode on our one of our prior weeks where we talked about divine masculinity and divine femininity and toxic femininity and toxic masculinity. You guys all remember that? Most people were here for that one. So I've been really like exploring this whole thought, the principle of gender in the Hermetic principles, and what it states is that everything has gender. Everything has some sort of gender. We can see this literally when you start to look for it, you can actually start to see it everywhere. And toxic wasn't really sitting with me. The word toxic it like involved like a lot of shame, and it just wasn't sitting right. And so been speaking with a lot of people who I deeply respect in the spiritual, scientific, observational, applicable space, and a whole bunch of amazing things have arisen from it. And I'm going to show you guys this document that I've been working on. It's an incredibly powerful lens to view yourself through. And it has helped me immensely in the whatever few days or week that I've been using it. And I'm going to be continuing to build this out. And I highly, highly recommend that you guys take this seriously, because it's like a really, really powerful lens to like calibrate yourself after you've done some dumb stuff, or when you're in the middle of doing dumb stuff, or when you're doing amazing things and you can recognize the power that you're walking in right now. And so instead of using divine and toxic, I've broken that into two categories, which is light, dark, and then integrated and unintegrated. So for example, there's an unintegrated light feminine. There's an integrated dark masculine. And I'm going to share this with you guys, just let you observe it for a moment here. And then we're just going to chat about it, enter into a few prompts, and we're going to run through a couple like meditations to center into these different ways of being. So I'm really excited to show you guys this in follow-up with what we used to look at. So, everyone see this? Awesome. So just read this for a second, and yeah, just observe it. Read the different sections. Obviously, there's 8 different sections, but we can break it into 4 quadrants. We have the light masculine quadrant, the dark masculine quadrant, the dark feminine quadrant, and the light feminine quadrant. I'll drop this in the community chat after, so we can all read and observe. But yeah, like I said, this is obviously the infancy of its development. So while we're all reading this, I'm just gonna share a few things that have come up for me in the past week through my own observation of myself and through others. And the first thing that I want to bring awareness to is the integrated dark masculine, the warrior. Power, protection is dangerous, but it's controlled. And just how thin of a line it is between protecting and controlling. It's a very thin line. What happens when the people that you're trying to protect start walking into danger? You begin to control them, and all of a sudden you're the tyrant. We can come back to that. Another area I want to bring attention to is the thin line between the integrated light feminine and the unintegrated light feminine. When nurturing turns into the devouring mother. The devouring mother is a psychological concept discovered by Freud, and arguably his greatest contribution to psychology. The devouring mother is essentially there's this like quote that says, "The good mother fails." because what she does is she protects her child. She protects her baby. She keeps her baby and her child protected and nurtured at all costs. And in so doing, makes them dependent and weak, because the child never goes into adversity, because the good mother protects her baby. And so very thin lines here. And so this past week, I've been very confronted with my unintegrated dark masculine under the guise, the guise of protection, all of a sudden turning into a tyrant. Quickly blink, and all of a sudden I'm in an unintegrated dark masculine setting with the greatest intentions of protection, and all of a sudden you're in a advertisements now. I think my sounds like my Spotify. Can you guys hear that too? Can you guys hear this ad? All right.
My Spotify's never had that. Where's that come from?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the ad. Whoever just spoke. Oh, good. We got an 8-minute song. Thank you, Hang Massive. That'll buy me some time before my next ad. So, yeah, does anyone want to say anything about this? Just when you look at this, what comes up? You like it? You know, is it speaking to anybody? I'd love to hear your comments in the chat, and or if you have any questions. Yeah, Rehabacalia.
So I wanted to speak on the light and dark feminine more. They fall into, like, it's interesting, like the archetypes, they fall into other archetypes as well. Like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Greek mythology.
Yeah, incredibly, yeah.
With like the unintegrated light feminine, and the integrated light feminine kind of reminds me of like Persephone and her mother. I forgot her mother's name, but along the end of it, her mother was super controlling because she just didn't want nothing bad to happen to her daughter. And it caused her daughter Persephone to be like incredibly codependent. But she was aware of this, which is why she ended up like running off with Hades, which was like her sense of like quote unquote freedom in a sense.
Yep. I think it's Demeter.
Demeter was her mother?
I think Demeter is the mother. Yeah. I'm it's so cool that you're saying this, just by the way, because I always take these things and then like one of the arenas that I do is I'm going to find all the gods from different religions and stack them into here. So there's going to be ancient Egyptian gods, demons from the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, and all of them. And I'll put them all. I like to take these archetypes and put them in here. That's awesome. That's what your mind meant to. Super cool.
Yeah, because it's something that I learned about, I think, sometime last year. And then also like I'm studying a little bit into like African mythology and like realizing that like a lot of Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology is actually African mythology. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I'm not too familiar with like all of them, but for the most part, I thought that was interesting. And as far as the dark masculine, I feel like there's a lot of that gets encountered, like at least from my personal experiences with men.
Unintegrated, right?
Yeah, exactly. They try to be protective and to be controlling. They try to change things in a sense, but all they do is create disruption and chaos, which is like the opposite of what masculine energy is supposed to do. You're supposed to bring order to like just like the feminine, which can be a little bit chaotic, a little disorganized, but you're supposed to bring order and structure to it.
Totally.
And like a lot of men, in my opinion, especially like at least the ones I encounter, me because like I'm not fully there yet, I attract that because I don't think I'm like fully in my like quote unquote divine feminine. So I attract the unintegrated masculine because I'm an unintegrated feminine. So I attract that a lot. So I see a lot of that. But recently I was told I was very nurturing, and I was like, what? It was by a total stranger too. And I was
that's
like,
really kind. That's really nice.
I was like, that's like the best thing someone's ever told me. It was just, I'm nurturing. They're like, yeah, you have very nurturing qualities about you. And I was like, oh damn. And I started overthinking about like why he was saying it, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
Awesome. Thanks for that share. That's I really appreciate that. You know what's so interesting about what you said is because I've been talking to like a lot enough people recently and observing it, and to be honest, there's a healthy spread of all four of these unintegrated energies around right now. And I personally think right now, especially in the Western world, that the unintegrated dark feminine is running the show.
Yeah.
Manipulation, overtly the victim. Does that sound like, a couple of
100%.
talks that we've had going on with our political system, and sexuality being wielded as a tool for earthly advantages? And so, but absolutely, like, you see this so much. And it's funny because when I was looking at this, I actually realized like how close the unintegrated light masculine and dark masculine are. Like, it's like they almost like you just skip the integration and you bounce kind of back and forth between this, like, I'm weak, so therefore I have to control.
Exactly.
I'm unprepared, so therefore I have to be a tyrant. And then you see that also in the on the unintegrated feminine side as well. And so yeah, it's just cool. And again, like, I'm going to send this to you guys. Please just observe as you go through, and really welcoming input on this, like as a co-creative tool, because obviously all of our minds coming together is way better than just me observing and creating this. But thanks for that share. That was really, like, vulnerable and honest. I really appreciate that, Ricky.
No problem.
And Mara, you had your hand raised. Oh, I catch you every time. I'm on it.
Yeah, like, I resonate with the magician and the lover. And I don't really know how I feel about that, because a lot of the times as a magician, I get taken advantage of. And then I don't know, like the part about like the sexual part she's making a mess, where it's the lover. I don't know how I feel about sexuality wielded as a path to enlightenment, but it does sometimes. But I definitely resonate with the vulnerable part, authentic expression, as I am doing right now, even though I kind of changed my mind and then Matt called me out. But here we are.
From our call the other day, our impromptu call.
Yeah.
So what's really cool about what you just said is that the light feminine only gets taken advantage of because you don't have an integrated dark masculine. Because the integrated dark masculine has power and protection, boundaries, is dangerous. And so this is why, like, women aren't feminine, men aren't masculine. We are all both, and we all have to encompass all four of these things. Otherwise, we aren't a balanced entity. And so, so that's why it's your magician is only getting taken advantage of because your warrior needs to gain a little bit of its protection. Everyone's like silently.
Well said. Can I chime in on the sexuality?
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna pass that to you, actually.
Yeah, you said it so well, Matt. Like, it's not about men and women. It's like, yes, men may have a proclivity to more masculine traits, but we can look at ourselves and see that we have all of these within us. And I believe, if correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but when you're stating sexuality wielded as a path to enlightenment, my understanding of this is that you can't go to the higher planes unless you've mastered the lower planes. Sexuality is when we say wielding it for enlightenment, we mean that we've gotten to a place where you've gone through the path of, let's say, sexual holistic eroticism to a point where you can transcend that. You go on to the next thing, but you can't bypass it. That's why a lot of yogi transcended masters come back to the West, and then they have some sort of sexual harassment case because they just bypassed that part and they think they transcended, but they didn't actually do that work. So that's kind of, I think, does that make sense, Mara? Does that help, or is that not helpful? Yeah.
It's very helpful, especially considering the most recent trauma I went through. And I think it's because I don't have, she says hi. I don't have that dark mask. This is my niece, Avery.
Hey, Avery.
And like, even just looking at this little girl, like, I want to protect her from the things of this world. And like, this is also another reason why I'm in these calls, is because I want to learn about, about gaining wisdom and empowering myself and being able to set those boundaries. yeah, and I'm still having a really difficult time with that. Maybe out of fear of retaliation, if I were to reject somebody or set a certain boundary.
Mhm.
And then there's that, like, I guess I'm seen as somebody who's vulnerable, but in my mind, vulnerability is like being able to be authentic and express myself in truth. But I guess like from the male's perspective, it's vulnerable, like I can take advantage of her. So yeah, I really appreciate your insight there. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being so honest about that. That's like not easy to talk about, and I see a lot of strength in that. And my heart goes out to you and any woman that has had that. And I've almost every partner I've had that's a woman has faced that kind of situation and that abuse, and it's something that it really just like hits me in the heart. It's so deep and so unfortunate, and that's why I do this work as well. Like that's the biggest reason, one of the biggest reasons why I teach men about sexuality is because of that.
Yeah.
So that they can understand like what's going on. So thank you for being here and doing that work, and know that you're doing the work also for other women here. Like when you integrate yourself, it's like because of the law of one, we're all one in that sense. So really appreciate that. Thank you, Mara.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Bae, I see you, but I saw Dev first.
Yeah, so again, going back to the masculine and feminine energies, a great book that I read was The Way of the Superior Man, which, yeah, exactly, right? I know you guys, yeah, probably read it, but like that taught me a lot about masculine and feminine energy, and that knowing that both, like being male or female, you both have both those attributes, right?
That's right.
So like I've seen men out there that are more feminine than they would be masculine, but like it's just like that's just with upbringing or like things that have happened in their life. But it's just there's women out there that are more masculine than some men, right? So it goes both ways. It's just finding that ebb and flow within yourself, right? Having both sides to it. So having a gentle side plus having a strong side too, right? So yeah, like I've read the book at least 2 or 3 times now, but yeah, like it gives a lot of good insight as to, I'm just putting it out there as to this conversation, right?
Yeah.
So,
thank you, bro. Great share. 10 out of 10 recommend that book if you haven't already read it. If you're a man or a woman and you read that book, it's going to give you a couple keys for sure. The Way of the Superior Man.
Bro?
Pardon?
Can you drop the name of the book in the chat so I can record it for my audiobook?
Yeah, you bet. And Bae.
Yeah, so like I've gone through this a couple of times, just reviewing like what periods and stages of my life did some of these aspects come up more, or these like categorizations that I'd fall into a little bit more. And I think it might be fun if you guys ever wanted to go through like your history and think about where this happened in your life. And I kind of did a little bit of like forgiving for those periods when I didn't know better, or times where, like, for example, when I was really struggling with numbing and alcoholism. And what really came up a lot was the unintegrated dark feminine. And I think, I don't know for sure, but I think that could have come up more to compensate for my lack of integrated dark masculine. And it's kind of cool to kind of like even put those pieces together and start looking at where did we compensate because we didn't have the integrated aspects of other things, which I think is kind of like fun. And how could we let ourselves into that direction, or how can we moving forward if a pattern arises? Because a lot of the time we're not going to master these things, right? They're going to come up again potentially until we've really learned to integrate them. So it's like, if we can assess back patterns in our history where we have had habits that have led us into a certain direction, just got me thinking about like, okay, what can we do when those instances come up? And then how can we lead ourselves into the integrated aspect that we desire to end up, I guess, coming back into for our higher selves. And the ones that like I feel a lot better about, so I feel like a lot prouder of myself for, I'm not gonna lie, and I don't tend to give myself as much kudos very often, but just switching over from the unintegrated dark feminine to the integrated dark the unintegrated dark feminine to the integrated dark feminine was like a big thing for me, because I was going through a little bit of like a porn addiction like phase again this past winter, and I was basically looking at escapism and being able to explore more about like sexuality, but for the sake of self-love and really like pouring energy back into ourselves. And Brian showed me a book. I don't know if you guys are into some of this, because sexuality can really like control a lot of us, or we tend to like push it away a lot. And he showed me this book last year. I actually showed it to Tiana. Tiana knows a little bit more of the stuff. Her and I have talked about some of this work in the past as well, and played with the experience of how to use sexuality for healing and like just energizing ourselves as well. Something that you guys might find really, really fascinating if you want to explore that. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. I really think this is super cool. I'm really excited to see what else builds from it, Matt. So thanks for sharing this.
Thank you, babe. Absolutely, positively. Like the only reason we slip into unintegrated aspects is because we're missing one of the integrated pieces. And so far, I haven't like perfectly figured this out, but I can say that like right there, it's like why does the unintegrated dark feminine need to be manipulative? Because she's in danger. And so what one of these quadrants fixes that? It's the power and the protection. It's the ability to protect yourself in the face of danger. So you don't need to get underhanded. And so that's what I've been doing these past couple of days is I've been really past day, I guess. Wow, big days we've been having, but I've been really bringing attention to myself, being protecting but not controlling, and really paying attention to that, really paying attention to that. And it's one thing if you're raising kids, but when I'm working with adults that are my friends right now, it's like I'm going to do my best to protect you from danger, but if you're walking into it, like I'll tell you, hey, I don't think you should do that. And then if they keep going, out of my control, totally out of my control, and I will sit here and I will hug you when you come back from that damage, but I'm not going to control you from going in there. It's something that I've done my whole life. Like I've been so in my dark masculine, both integrated and unintegrated, and lost people because of it. So it's like, why am I even trying to protect them if it's just leading to controlling, and I'm just going to end up losing them anyways? Oh, there we go again. Brief popcorn break here, everybody.
I'm going to share my audio, Matt.
Little intermission, and I think maybe we'll see. Because then I think we got to fluster with the screen and everything. All right, and we're back. We're back from our little break there. Okay, thank you, everybody. And then one other thing that I wanted to point out, Bay, which you brought up, was the escapism aspect. Because I don't know if you guys have been noticing, we've been like making little changes to this as we've been going along, because it is for sure like a work in progress. And just how you can see how like escapism is clearly the opposite of unconditional love, because unconditional love requires like full presence and almost like being completely in the actual moment, opposed to escaping away from it. You see something you don't like it, you run away. You see something you don't like it, you love it. There's a huge difference between those things. Thanks, Bae. That was amazing share. Megan.
Yeah. Old me used to be the unintegrated dark masculine. I was a fucking tyrant my whole childhood. Don't tell me what to do, I'll do it by myself. And I carried that into my 20s and 30s as well. But it's funny because, yeah, old me, if I was still old me now, I probably would have put myself flat on my back during this whole transition. But I guess proud of myself for doing the work and recognizing when I go into my hyper masculine, because when I don't feel safe, that's exactly where I go. I go into my hyper masculine, like take care of myself. That's what makes me feel safe. But the last like 4 weeks, I've been in my masculine, but also asking for help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing all the things I can possibly do, but when it's beyond me or it's too much for me, then I reach out and ask for help, which is for me a huge thing because I used to have a very hard time asking for help.
Yeah. Does that resonate with everyone? Integrated dark masculine, the warrior is the archetype that asks for help? Or is that the king? Is that the light masculine? Or what do we think? What
one who asks for help?
Yeah, who asks for help?
Oh, the king.
The king does.
King.
Yeah, the king doesn't utilize like his resources. Like, you know, it's the king's the guy. Like, sometimes he'll go on the war if it comes down to it, but for the most part, he's utilizing his resources.
That's right.
The warrior is the one that's like, no, I can do it myself. This is my ship. In this show, I will go down with this ship. Yeah,
just like receiving downloads.
You do that.
Yeah, totally. The king's asking his advisors if he's a good king.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I like that. The good king. That's what I used to call the divine masculine. The good king. I like that.
With the receiving downloads, it's in a state to receive. So I think that makes sense. In a place to request.
It's super fun. I don't know if you guys know. I might seem like I'm teaching you, but I'm actually just trying to add to my little thing that I'm making right now. Okay, so we're going to drop in here. I'm gonna pass the audio, and we're gonna run through these 8 archetypes and moments in the past when we have entered into them. And when I send this through, guys, what I really, really would recommend, and maybe some homework we can follow up on Monday on the accountability or next Thursday, is just bringing awareness to these things, because we're always in one of these 4 states. Whether we're by ourselves, whether we're with others, we're always in one of these, 8 states, 4 quadrants, 8 states. And in the next week, we're going to do something that was dumb, right? And when that happens, we can look, which unintegrated section was I in and why? Oh, well, because I'm missing this. I was missing the safety component. I was missing the light masculine. So I slipped into a manipulative type of behavior. And then we're going to talk about it. We'll talk about it next week. Oh, talk about it the week after next week, because next week is Hika integration. So we'll be working on this. We'll talk in the chat, let's keep the chat going. And I would love to kind of have this type of verbiage be present within our communication styles amongst each other and in our groups. Yep, eh?
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to have a schedule, kind of like calendar laid out for the community calls, so you guys know what's going on. Next week, Monday, you guys are welcome to come on. It's actually going to be our Hika integration call, but it's going to be specific to finances. Something worth looking into, because Selena's going to be leading it, and she is dope when it comes to anything with organization. Finances is definitely something, our financial pillar, that we don't talk about too much, and we haven't so much on these community calls, but definitely worth us checking in on. But Thursday, there will not be a call. So when we have this discussion that Matt's talking about, we'll dive into it the following Monday. Go Mara's face.
All right. Okay. So, wait, that's your music we hear right now, Brian? That's not mine, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
There's music?
You never hear it. You didn't even hear it in person at Bay's place when she was doing the testing.
I hear my thoughts louder than the music.
There's music. Okay, guys. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take us all through an awareness practice so that we can really bring attention to the feelings inside of our body, because there's ultimately 3 types of awareness. So let's all drop in, close our eyes. Close our eyes, ground ourselves, don't drop the baby. We're going to do my favorite. We're going to do 2 double breaths. So exhale, And breathe with me all the way to the top. Fill those lungs. A little more. Hold it. And make out a nice sound. Nice. One more all the way to the top. Fill those lungs. A little more. Hold it. Hold it. And make a loud sound with me. And just breathe. Settle into your breath. So there's 3 types of awareness that we're going to be using. We're going to be using, keep our eyes closed, keep breathing. 3 types of awarenesses when we're reflecting. What just happened? Why did I act that way a moment ago? That's awareness, self-awareness. There's self-awareness in the present moment. Oh, what am I doing that's stupid right now? My loved one's crying, my loved one's yelling, I'm doing something stupid. What's going on? I need to fix it up. That one is probably the most difficult, but also the most powerful. And one of my favorites is the preparation. I'm going into a situation where I may get triggered. So I'm going to be aware to not slip into an unintegrated state. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start with the unintegrated dark masculine. So for a moment now, we're going to be going into our memories, the unpleasant places where we have harmed people that we've loved, where we've attacked people that we loved, where we've said things that we knew would hurt, where we've controlled their outcomes. They don't even get to make their own decision. I'm controlling it. And when we're looking at our unintegrated dark masculine, probably with a frown and disgust at the moment, let's just remind ourselves that this entity is just trying to protect us. It's not evil, but it harms people that we love. And we don't want to do that. So we all thought of that moment. It's a really yucky feeling, especially when we land back into our integration. We reflect on it. We go, oh my goodness, I just harmed someone I love. That sucked. I don't wish to repeat that. But it was just trying to protect you. It was just trying to make you feel better. It was just trying to make you feel safe. That's why we control. And ultimately, it does come from the place of the integrated dark masculine, the warrior. And now we're going to lighten this mood a little bit, and we're going to look at a time where we were in our integrity, where we were a protecting force for our loved one. Harm was coming upon them, and we were able to provide an insight that prevented the harm. They received the harm because our delivery was from a place of love, not fear. And when they received that love, that advice, you prevented the harm. That feels nice. But notice how thin of a line it is. Because what happens when you give them that advice and they don't receive it? What, are you just going to watch your loved one go into harm? The answer is yes. Otherwise, you become the tyrant. And you hold them when they come back. And you don't say, I told you so, idiot. You sit there and you hold them with love. But notice that thin line between protection and controlling. It's quick. We're going to take a journey to the unintegrated dark feminine, the succubus, the seductress, the manipulative victim. We've all been here too. Certainly our day and age. Let's just take a moment to think when we've used our sexuality as an earthly advantage, whether it's to make money, get free things, even just to get somebody to like you, that you want to like you. Maybe it's even just posting sexy pics just to get likes. Whatever earthly advantage you wielded your beauty for, not to achieve enlightenment, but to gain. The manipulation. And thinking about how sneaky the unintegrated dark feminine can actually be. The overt victim. When you have actually been a victim, you've gone into a situation, you've sustained some damage, and you've become a victim. But now you're wielding that as a tool to gain. It always ends in harm for the other. Always. And looking at how the similarities between the integrated and the unintegrated, once again, vulnerable, authentic expression versus victim manipulation. Using sexuality as a tool for enlightenment, often a practice that so many of us don't have any idea what that even means. I encourage you all to reach out, to ask questions, because sexuality is maybe the most powerful force that exists, and we are throwing it around right now. Thinking about how amazing it feels to be vulnerable and be heard in your authentic expression, all the uglies, and to be received, which takes courage. Think about a moment where you have actually expressed something extremely vulnerable and it was received. And they loved you anyways. And they helped you. Such a nice feeling. We're going to take a trip out of the darkness and up into the light. We're going to start, however, with the unintegrated light masculine, the helpless child. Think about a time where you avoided confrontation because of fear. Think about a time where you were unprepared. Anytime you were unprepared. Maybe you didn't put gas in the car and now you're running out of gas on the way to work. Maybe you didn't pay your cell phone bill and now your phone's getting cut off. Maybe you went camping and you didn't bring food. Think about a time when you were unprepared and how that made you feel. Emasculated. Think about a time where you didn't set boundaries and then they got crossed. And now recognizing how when we slip into the integrated light masculine, the good king presence, safety, consciousness, requesting for help. Think about a time where you requested for help and this person rose to the occasion and helped you. Set your pride aside, asked for help, got the help. What a blessing. Think about for a moment as the integrated light masculine, when you were present for somebody, when you were that safe place for them, They came to you, eyes watery, just out of harm, emotional, physical, financial. And they came to you, and you held the eye contact as they expressed themselves to you. What an honor to be chosen to hold that weight. After they expressed everything, they looked you in the eyes and they said, "Thank you. I feel so much better now." What a good feeling. The good king, prepared, present, a safe space. And finally, we're going to move to the light feminine. The unintegrated light feminine, the disabler. Through the misguided care, the devouring mother does not equip the person she is trying to love to be prepared for the world. She doesn't allow the child to tie their shoes. She doesn't allow them to fall down. Much like the unintegrated dark masculine, the unintegrated light feminine is a controller and does not allow for this person to go out into the world. Unlike the unintegrated dark feminine, this wasn't a time when you were overtly a victim, but this is when you were passively a victim. Can you think of a moment where you were passively a victim to someone, maybe a romantic partner, kind of sliding things under the rug? Oh yeah, well, remember that time when I did this? Just sliding those little hints in. The people pleaser. Sacrificing yourself to please other people so that later you can say, "Remember that time I did that thing?" Chaotic. And then moving back into perhaps the lightest of them all, the light, integrated light feminine, the magician, the nurturer who provides unconditional love, much like the good king. Think about how good it feels to take care of the people you love. Whether it's giving them a gift, giving them a hug, lightly nudging them back onto their path without judgment. You look at them, all the dumb stuff they do, and you love them. You still love them. You just nudge them back onto the path. Excited to watch them grow. But notice the thin line, how nurturing too much disables them from being able to do it on their own. For these final few moments, really want you just to deepen your breath now. Bringing forth this lens of the integrated and unintegrated light and dark, masculine and feminine energies, personalities that we are always flipping between. And recognizing that we're not perfect, we're going to slip into these unintegrated states. And you're not that unintegrated state. You just are missing certain parts of other integrated states. This is just a tool, a roadmap. Whenever you do something that is out of your integrity that causes harm to yourself or others, it's just a guiding light to place you back into becoming whole. We're going to end with 2 more double breaths. So breathe out all the way. And all the way to the top. A little more. And when we exhale, we're going to get rid of that unintegrated part of us. Exhale that out. Breathe in the integrated parts that you wish to proclaim. Little more. Hold it. Think of your intention. What arena do you need to integrate better? And exhale. We're going to do one more. Big breath all the way to the top. Little more. Hold it. And like an integrated light masculine, recognize that you can request for help at any time to achieve these integrated parts. Big exhale, let it go. Put a smile on. Yeah. And when you're ready, bring some life back into those beautiful bodies. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Everyone looks good. Thank you, everybody, for accompanying me on that journey there. And for today's conversation. I love you all so much. I've got some extra time. I'm happy to kick it for a little bit. I'm probably going to stop the recording, but I'm happy to kick it and hang out for a little longer today if you guys got some time. Thank you all so much. Love ya.